Your birthday is in 3 days. You know it. You haven't told anyone. And honestly, you're hoping nobody asks. It wasn't always like this. There was a version of you that counted down the days, that imagined the moment, that actually believed one day a year could feel different from all the others. But somewhere along the way, something changed. And now when someone asks what you're doing for your birthday, you say the one thing that confuses everyone around you: nothing. It's just another day. And they look at you like you said something wrong. Like there's a setting inside you that broke. Like you're supposed to want the cake and the noise and the 30 people singing off-key at you in a restaurant. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Not everyone who treats their birthday like a normal day is broken. Some of them are the most psychologically grounded people in the room, and some of them are quietly carrying something nobody ever named for them. This video is going to give it a name. There's something scientists discovered about the human brain and birthdays that most people have never heard. And once you understand it, you'll never look at this day the same way again. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand yourself in a way you didn't walking in. Let's start with the group nobody talks about. The ones who stopped caring, not because they chose to, but because the choice was made for them. You're 8 years old, maybe 9. You've been counting down for weeks. You told people at school. You imagined the moment when everyone finally stops and turns toward you, just for today, just because you exist. And then the day comes, and it's quiet. Someone forgot. Someone didn't show up. Someone planned something that turned into nothing, and you didn't cry, not where anyone could see. You just quietly adjusted your expectations. Next year you expected a little less, and the year after that, even less. Here's what the research says about that. In 1967, psychologist Martin Seligman discovered something that changed how we understand human behavior. He called it learned helplessness. When someone experiences repeated disappointment with no control over the outcome, their brain eventually stops predicting the reward. Not because they're weak, because they're efficient. Your dopamine system, which neuroscientists like Wolfram Schultz spent decades studying, doesn't just respond to good things happening. It responds to the gap between what you expected and what you got. When expectations consistently crash, the brain makes a quiet decision. Stop expecting, because hoping hurts more than forgetting. So when someone tells you their birthday is just another day, listen carefully to what they're not saying. That sentence wasn't born from indifference. It was built from scar tissue. And the calm way they say it, that's not coldness. That's armor. Researchers at Johns Hopkins found something that makes this even harder. Our brains don't just remember painful dates. They relive the emotional weight of them every single year. It's called the anniversary effect. Your calendar moves on. Your nervous system doesn't. The 8-year-old who sat alone at a table waiting for people who never came is still in there, still quietly waiting, still quietly adjusting. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone in this category is staying there, because some people take that early disappointment and turn it into something else entirely. They stop waiting for the day to be given to them. They start building a life where every Tuesday feels like enough. And that's when you start crossing into the second group. But before we get there, let me ask you something. Think about the last time you genuinely celebrated yourself. Not your birthday. Not a milestone somebody else decided mattered. Just a random day when you looked at your own life and thought, this is good. I'm okay. I did something real here. Most people can't remember, and that's worth sitting with. Now the second group. These are the people who didn't forget their birthday. Their birthday forgot them. Not because nobody loves them, but because their brain is running 17 things at once, and this date just slipped into the same mental folder as that dentist appointment they've rescheduled 4 times. Psychologists call this time blindness. It's most common in people who are deeply absorbed in building something, solving something, managing something. When your mind is operating under high cognitive load, dates blur. Weeks collapse into each other. The calendar stops feeling like a structure and starts feeling like background noise. These people aren't avoiding their birthday. They're not suppressing anything. Their nervous system just filed it under not urgent, right next to every other thing that doesn't have a deadline attached to it. And here's the part that trips people up. When someone finally reminds them, they're not devastated. They don't spiral. They laugh, maybe. They say, "Oh, right," and they move on. Because for them, the day was never the point. Now, let me tell you about the third group. And this one is the one that unsettles people the most. These are the people who didn't forget, who aren't carrying old wounds, who looked at the entire structure of what a birthday is supposed to mean and quietly said, "I don't need that." Not because they're cold, not because they've given up on joy, but because they've found something that doesn't require a date on a calendar to access. Psychologists Ryan and Deci spent decades building what they called self-determination theory. And buried inside that research is something most people never hear about. The most psychologically resilient people are not the ones who chase external events to feel whole. They're the ones whose sense of value comes from within, not from a party. Not from 30 messages on a social media platform that learned their birthday from a data profile. Not from a song sung by people who are mostly just waiting for the cake. Researcher Philip Brickman spent years studying what he called the hedonic treadmill. That cycle where you achieve the thing, hit the milestone, blow out the candles, and feel the rush, and then a few days later you're back to baseline, back to waiting for the next thing, the next celebration. The next external hit of proof that you exist and that it matters. People in this third group stepped off that treadmill. They didn't announce it, they didn't put it on a t-shirt. They just quietly decided that the feeling they were chasing was already available to them on a random Wednesday, without the candles, without the song, without the performance. And that, to a lot of people, is deeply threatening. Because it challenges the assumption that everyone needs the same things. That celebration is universal, that you should want this. But here's where I need to slow down, because this video would be incomplete without saying something important. Not everyone who skips their birthday is at peace. Psychologist Jennifer Crocker at the University of Michigan studied something she called contingencies of self-worth. And what she found is this. Some people disconnect from their birthday not because they've outgrown external validation, but because they're afraid of it. Afraid that if they let themselves want it and it doesn't land the way they hoped, it will confirm something they've suspected about themselves for a long time, that they don't really matter. That if they built it up and nobody came, that silence would be the answer they'd been dreading. So they opt out, not from confidence, from protection. And the distance between those two things is everything. There's the person who doesn't celebrate because they're full. And there's the person who doesn't celebrate because they don't want to find out the room is empty. And only one of those people is actually free. So if you're watching this, here's the question worth asking yourself. Not out loud, just quietly, the way you ask things you actually mean. Is it freedom? Or is it fear? Because there's a difference between not needing the birthday and not believing you deserve one. Think about the last birthday you spent alone. Were you at peace? Or were you watching your phone, waiting to see who remembered, telling yourself you didn't care while a part of you kept score? That part of you isn't weakness. That's not something to be fixed or argued away. That's your nervous system doing what it was built to do, looking for evidence that you belong somewhere, that you're seen by someone, that you matter to at least one person who wasn't reminded by an app. And here's the truth that cuts through all three of these groups. We're not really talking about birthdays. We're talking about whether or not you've made peace with needing to be seen, whether you found a way to carry your own worth without outsourcing it, whether the quiet of an uncelebrated birthday feels like rest or feels like something that was owed to you and never arrived. Some people have been giving to everyone around them for years, showing up for every celebration, remembering every date, making other people feel seen, and they've quietly learned to ask for nothing in return. Not because they don't want it, but because wanting it feels like too much, like a burden, like proof of something they're not comfortable needing. Those people, the quiet givers, the ones who say, "I don't do birthdays," while making yours unforgettable, they deserve light too. Not because they asked for it, because they've been holding so much without asking. There's nothing weak about wanting that. There's nothing dramatic about missing it. Some things stay quiet for a long time, not because they're small, but because we never gave them language. Now you have some. Maybe this year your birthday looks different. Maybe you spend it alone and feel genuinely at peace, and that peace is real and earned. Or maybe you spend it alone, and somewhere underneath the calm there's a voice that wanted someone to remember, and that voice deserves to be heard too. You don't have to perform joy you don't feel. You don't have to throw a party that exhausts you for the sake of other people's comfort. But you also don't have to pretend you don't feel anything when you do. Both things can be true at the same time. You can be someone who doesn't need the celebration and still quietly want someone to show up. That's not contradiction, that's human. Tell me in the comments which group you are. Not because I'm asking for your story, because I think once you say it out loud, even here, it means something. If this video found you today, it wasn't an accident. Subscribe. There's more waiting here that might make sense of things you've carried for a long time. The next video is going to hit you harder than this one. Click it. You'll understand why.